This podcast is brought to you by Reimagine Radio, the online radio station that aims to give you information on disability and music. My name's Graham Wyman, and I'm the program coordinator with the Vancouver Adapted Music Society. Today, for our artist feature on Reimagine Radio, we are joined by Kristina Sheldon. How are you doing, Kristina?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me again.
Oh, yeah, of course. My pleasure. Have you been enjoying the summer weather so far?
Yes.
Yeah.
I am a sun person, so it's definitely been making me happy, especially that the sun sets later.
Yeah.
Just more light in the day. Yeah.
No, it's shocking to
I'm
get
a happy
it.
girl.
Yeah, I'm 110% behind you on that.
Yeah.
So, Kristina, it's been over a year since we first had you on Reimagine Radio, and you, about a week and a half ago, just released your latest track called Dancing with the Flames.
Yes, I did. I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, no, it sounds great. But I guess to get us started, what was the inspiration behind that track?
So I normally write very singer-songwriter-y, and I tend to write very ballad.
Mm-hmm.
But for this track, I was awarded a grant through Creative BC to work with a producer, which is a new experience for me because normally it's just been me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ended up in a room with three other extraordinarily talented local Vancouver artists and producers. And so it was Laura Smith. Laura Smith ended up being the main producer.
Right.
Carolyn Quinn was co-songwriter and vocal producer, and Elisa Pensang was originally going to be the producer, but then she sort of helped write at the very beginning, but then she's the one who mastered the track.
Okay, nice.
But yeah, so I got into the room, I guess the studio with these three ladies. This is a pre-pandemic, actually.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah.
I know it's been a while since I released it. The pandemic kind of kicked my butt, but that's another story.
Yeah, that's another one. Yeah.
We got in the room together and just started to write together.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, my pain levels, I have a spinal cord injury, and I have chronic pain, and my pain levels have gone up incrementally. And at the time we were doing this, I was in intense pain pretty much every day, but I was trying to push through in the studio with the girls, and it just kind of felt honest in that moment to write a song about how I was feeling.
Okay.
And I also really wanted to write a song that was, there's a lot of music out there that is very much like you can get through it, or not even necessarily music, but a lot of, it's about getting through it to the other side. And, there's light at the end of the tunnel, but there are definitely a lot of things where it's chronic. It's gonna be forever. And there is no light at the end of the tunnel. It's just about managing it. Yeah. And so I kind of wanted to write a song that honored that and honored the chronic position. And so that's sort of where the inspiration came behind it, was literally me being in pain and pushing through and we kind of just rolled with it.
Well, I can imagine this, completing the track, having it released, but also going through the process of writing must have been very therapeutic for you.
Yeah. I mean, music is therapy. We know this. Yeah. So it definitely was. Mm-hmm. And it was also hard. Because literally the thing I was singing about trying to push through and work with was kicking my butt. So I'm like, I have to be honest, a little part of me is like, am I being hypocritical right now? But no, I mean, the point is there's a lyric in the song where it's like, even when I'm down, I'm recharging for the next round. Right. Mm-hmm. And I think that, I think that's a good way of looking at it, that even when you're down, it's okay. Your body is resting. You are sort of regaining a little bit. And I'm the kind of person where I can't stay down forever. Yeah. I get kind of stubborn, I guess. And if it's at all possible that my body will let me, it recharges and then I get back up. and I keep trying and I keep going. Sometimes the length of time that I stay down is longer than other times, but but it's always, I think it's a great way to think about it. It's always me recharging for the next round.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can very much resonate with what you were just saying myself. I deal with some chronic pain as well. And my mom being with a healthcare background, it's all about pain management too, right? And
Yeah.
just allowing yourself to take that space to, you know, feel what you're feeling, but also, understanding that, you'll get back to some, level where it's not as bad as it is.
Yeah. And then there's the bridge of the song. I'm singing I feel like
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of did that because in the room the girls were asking me how I was doing and I'm like, I feel like the shit. And I kind of like that line because it's not, I don't think it's really a normal phrase, but it was sort of like, because usually you say I feel like I feel bad. You use that word for saying I don't feel good, but then I kind of twisted it and turned it into like I feel awesome, like I am, anyway. I love twisting words like that and like taking back the meaning to be something else. And so that's sort of what the bridge is sort of meant to be, is sort of like a chant, like I feel like anyway, you'll hear it when you listen to the song.
Yeah, no, it's like the Maori chants that they say before rugby to pump themselves up almost, right?
Oh, actually kind of, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Owning it a bit more and taking that power back from
Yeah,
them.
taking it and just being like, and sometimes it helps to do that, even when you're in pain, to just pump yourself up and push through. And that's again the whole concept of the song, is not trying to douse the flames, but learn to dance with them.
Yeah, that's very cool. Very cool. So, one thing for myself being, I mean, actually, I have one question too. You mentioned you went and recorded it in a studio. What studio did you record it at?
So my vocals were recorded at Monarch Studios, which was super cool experience because it was the first time that I got to be in a professional studio.
Yeah.
And it was nerve-wracking, and I have to admit that made it a little bit harder to make my vocals as nice as they could be, but I'm the hardest on myself, because it was like, oh my God, I'm in this like big space and anyway, yeah. And then the rest of it, because this is actually a bit of a different style than what I normally do, a lot of this wasn't live instrument. Actually, I don't think any of it was live instrument, aside from us banging things and tinking things to make the drum kit. That was all made up of just sitting there in the room smacking different things.
There you go.
And the bass drum is actually me thwapping one of the, it's kind of like a shelf in my apartment, and it ended up making this really cool like bass drum noise. Anyway, I digress. But
no, that's interesting.
So I guess it was recorded in Monarch Studios and then in our homes, which is the really cool thing about nowadays, is that you can get away with that and have it sound lovely.
So it seemed like a very organic process.
Definitely, yeah.
No, and one thing that stuck out for me compared to your earlier music was this one has a lot of sound design, it seems to it. There's like a lot of etherical synths behind your voice. And behind the main thing.
Which is... Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. Just behind the main track and your vocals, it just seems like there's a lot of, it's sound design. Long story short, so
I like that word because I didn't know what to call it, and I don't know what to say when I'm trying to describe it to producers. But I love that sound, and probably going forward into my future music, you're going to hear more of it because I really like that sort of epic, ethereal sound that sort of picks you up and holds you and then can like take you up when like it gets all big and epic. I love that.
Yeah, I know for myself, I'm always, I mean, that just also gives a piece like such a different dynamic where every time you listen to it again, your ear will gravitate towards something in that space that you didn't necessarily hear the first time.
Yeah, because it's layered with a bunch of different cool things.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's definitely what I was aiming for and what I'm hoping to do more of in the future. Because yeah, it is different from what I did before. Before was very singer-songwriter, like
Mm-hmm.
me and my guitar, me and my ukulele, definitely a lot more, I guess it would be like indie folk
Mm-hmm.
kind of.
Yeah,
I'm not really sure. I'm so horrible at trying to pick genres.
yeah. No, no, for
To
sure.
label my stuff. I don't know. I'm just like, I sing.
Yeah,
There's the guitar.
yeah, yeah. So you also mentioned that you worked, or the track was produced by an all-female team. How was
Yeah.
that experience? And had you worked with any of the artists before?
Um, it was wonderful to work with an all female team, I've got to say. And no, these were brand new experiences for me entirely. I had met Elisa Pensang at the Canadian Songwriting Challenge through Nimbus.
Okay.
It was
Yeah.
2019.
Okay.
It was the last one before the pandemic when we actually met in person. And it's like a weekend where you just get together with a bunch of people you've never met and write a song.
Okay.
And it was a really cool experience because it also ripped the band-aid off of my worries about co-writing with people.
Mm.
It turns out it's a lot of fun and I really enjoy doing it. And whenever somebody says I want to write a song together, I'm like, yeah, I'm on board now, because I didn't realize how fun it could be and how you're going to create a piece that would never come out of you alone,
Mhm.
because you're getting somebody else's ideas in there, which is really cool. Just even little melody changes that your brain just wouldn't think of. And it's like, wow, that just made the song better. So I met Elisa through that.
Okay.
And then originally she was going to produce it.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I got the grant. And unfortunately, something happened in, unforeseen circumstances. So she introduced me to Laura and Carolyn.
Okay.
And Carolyn's also a really excellent vocal coach. So I ended up
Okay.
having her vocal coach me a lot too, which I think did the song a lot of justice, because I'm the
Okay.
hardest on myself. And even I'm like, oh, that's not so bad. Like
Yeah.
my voice came out nice there. There's one spot I hate, and I'm not going to tell anyone what it is because hopefully no one ever feels that way either.
Yeah, no, I know. Hey, well, it's what's the mix? When's a mix engineer or say artist done their piece? And it's always just a skeleton sitting there with a guitar. Yeah. So yeah, no, I know exactly where you're coming from.
Yeah. So yeah, working with an all-female team was a really wonderful experience, and it was just very positive and um yeah, I'm trying to think of other words. I don't know how to. It was just very easy.
Organic.
Yeah, organic, easy, kind,
Mm-hmm.
understanding, and I felt like an equal with them.
Mm-hmm.
Where sometimes, you know, I don't want. I love men. Like, I'm not going to go into like any sort of feminist thing here. There's absolutely nothing wrong with men. But I have been in situations where only a man has ever spoken down to me in the studio at this point in my life. So I didn't have any of that feeling with the female team. They accepted me as if I were the same, and it was wonderful. And again, I don't like, not all men have spoken down to me. I've worked with excellent men who are just as wonderful and kind. But but yeah, it speaking to an all female team, it was great. And the thing is, they were saying that the sad truth is that can be a bit of an issue for females in the industry, that
Mm-hmm.
they've all had experiences
Of course.
where they felt, put down and I hate to use the word, but like mansplained to, and
Right. Yeah.
and all that sort of thing. So they were even kind of commenting that an all female team was really enjoyable for them as well.
Oh, that's fantastic.
But I love men. I don't want that to like.
Well, I mean, you did agree to be on the show, so I hope you know.
Yeah, right.
So, I mean, so you've taken this new direction, and what helped fuel that desire to, you've been playing the singer-songwriter vibe for a bit, but now you're kind of going into this more electric chill pop vibe. What was there a conscious kind of reasoning behind that, or was it more just, again, working with the new team?
Truthfully, I've always wanted to go in this direction.
Okay.
The singer-songwriter was very natural to me. Like it
Mm-hmm.
just kind of came out of me without trying. Like it was
Okay.
just a very natural thing. And I love doing it. And I definitely will be producing more songs like that in the future as well.
Yeah.
But I have always really enjoyed like chill vocal house. I've always really been into this kind of music.
Mm-hmm.
And truthfully, for a long time after my accident, I really didn't believe that it was possible for me to get in the studio.
Right.
I thought my music career was over, and being in the studio was suddenly this unattainable thing. And I kind of put it up on a pedestal. And that's kind of the only way you're going to be able to get this. Like, you can't singer or songwriter yourself into a chill house album. Like, you have to have a producer. You have to have, or the talent yourself to do that. Anyway, and I don't. But as I've learned over the last couple of years and through meeting Lisa and that sort of thing and getting the grant is that, I've taken the studio off the pedestal
Mm-hmm.
and finally am making the music that I always kind of wanted to make, that I was always like, oh, it'd be so cool if I could do a song like this. And
Mm-hmm.
now I'm actually doing a song like this. And
Yeah, no, it's come full circle.
yeah. Yeah. And so it definitely was a conscious decision. It was a desire. And I still am going back and forth on whether or not I'm going to produce, because I hope to bring out a series of songs. I'd love to say that I'm going to drop an album, but that's not really the way the world works for indie artists.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually you release single after single.
Mm-hmm.
But I still am kind of planning to release a cohesive number of songs,
Selection.
whether it's like an EP length, like 4 or 5, or a long play,
Yeah.
around 10.
Okay.
So I can kind of like in my head say this is an album, even though it was
Right.
a bunch of singles.
Of course. Now, one question I did have for you was, when you were writing "Dancing with the Flames," did you approach? Again, I know you were working with in a collaboration, but did you approach writing the piece differently compared to your earlier music?
I guess I would say yes,
Mm-hmm.
because it's always I think, if not, I think everything that I've published, like that's on Spotify or on my website, those are all songs that I wrote by myself, that it was just me and an instrument. And usually I write through the muse. That sounds funny to say, but I just sort of feel inspired and just let the song like come out of me. And suddenly in a half an hour, I have like almost a fully formed song.
Right.
So usually I write that way.
Mm-hmm.
But writing with other people, you can't do that. Like, you have to write regardless of whether you're feeling particularly inspired.
Mm-hmm.
But the really cool thing I found that when you're with other people is you end up sort of feeling inspired through them, because you just start bouncing ideas off each other.
Right.
And then when something good hits, like, like you go, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
oh, that,
That
like,
hits the spot.
do that,
Yeah.
keep doing that. Okay, sweet. Like, and, which is a fun process, because writing alone is super therapeutic. I love doing it. It's very special and close to my heart. But writing with other people is fun.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I'd say it was a different, just because of that.
Right.
Like, being able to bounce the ideas off of someone else, being able to incorporate their ideas into it, letting your ego go, and letting things that you might like, but you have to let it go because it doesn't serve the song.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And and that's also kind of fun. It's almost cathartic. Just kind of letting go a little bit and being like, okay, I have to let that idea go. They don't like it. But by doing so, I feel like you end up with an excellent song, something better than you would have created yourself even,
Mm-hmm. No,
or potentially better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then, so you kind of alluded to releasing, say, an EP or something like that. But now that the track has been released, what's kind of on the horizon for you?
Yeah, so I have spoken with a producer, and we've officially agreed. I think it was just a couple days ago. We agreed to work with each other. We're going to start just working on one single, and he's an excellent. He's a young producer. He's really really good, and he does the kind of music that I want to get into.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so we basically said, okay, great, like, and we're going to co-write together as well, which I'm stoked about. He said it's easier for him as a producer. I have already just enjoyed doing it. And I think that it would just, yeah, I think it creates the possibility of a better song if we work together like that. So I'm going to be co-writing with him, and he's going to help produce the song. I will obviously be singing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And with luck, we will absolutely just love working together. And it's just going to be like this amazing dynamic. And
Yeah.
we'll end up making, 5 to 10 songs together. But we are going to start with just the one, see how things go.
Right.
And also see where the money is, because I can't afford all those songs by myself. So there will be, a lot of grant writing in my future as well. So please fund me if you like my music.
For sure. Well, Kristina, to end our session today, maybe you can tell our listeners where they can find Dancing with the Flames.
Yeah, so it is released on all major streaming platforms. Mm-hmm. And so Spotify, iTunes, and then I don't know the names of the other ones. But there's a whole list. So if you use a different streaming platform, take a look, search for me, and hopefully you'll be able to find it. If you can't, poke me, and I will poke my distributor and be like, hey, what's up?
Perfect. Okay. Well, great.
Yeah. So very excited about that. I've never been on Spotify before. I also released an EP of my old music. So if you want to hear the singer-songwriter-y stuff, there's a bit. I also get a bit ballady. Please do take a listen for that as well. Oh, I think I was going to say I'm considering changing my name for the new music, so that way it's clear that it's two different projects.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But I'll do my best to be very clear about that with people, and so you'll still be able to find me. I also think people will be able to find me easier because my name is Kristina with a K and Sheldon with an E-N, D-E-N.
Right.
And so people often spell my name wrong and can't find me.
Right.
So I was thinking if I pick a name like as Nom de Plume or whatever,
right. Yeah, exactly.
It'll be easier to find me.
For sure.
And it will match the new music better too.
Okay, well, great. Well, Kristina, thank you for joining us again. I know myself and our listeners are excited to see what's next. And congrats with releasing Dancing with the Flames.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Well, again, and thank you for being here today.
I was awesome. Thanks so much for having me. Always
pleasure.
A pleasure.
Well, thanks.
Love it.
And to our listeners out there, stay safe and keep that music flowing.